and I wrote the LifeLink material beginning in the early 80s with the desire to see individuals that were suffering have better outcomes in their life than destructive outcomes. You take people that are struggling with depression, anxiety, worry, maybe drugs and alcohol, maybe they can't quit gambling. They're struggling. The LifeLink material is founded on a basic premise that there is no change without a belief change. A belief, for you and I, is the very eyeglasses that process all information. Our beliefs take information that we gather from the outside or even process our thinking. Our beliefs are very, very powerful. And so the very beginning point of LifeLink takes that premise, and over 12 lessons, it actually begins to cause an individual, without being forced to challenge their own set of beliefs. The LifeLink material divides beliefs into 3 basic questions. Even though it is a Christian foundation using Bible scriptures, this material has been used for people that come to us that don't believe in God at all, or maybe they have a particular doctrine that they were grown up with. It is not a doctrine foundation. It is just broad Christian concepts. We believe that God is so big that He can use His Word and draw people where they are to where they need to be. So the LifeLink material addresses beliefs in 3 very basic concepts, very basic questions. The first one is the question, who am I? Now, you may already have very strong self-identity, very strong self-worth, but many people that suffer from these emotions or these behaviors that keep them prisoner, they don't have a strong self-image. So LifeLink addresses the question of who am I? Then LifeLink also addresses the question of what is my purpose? And thirdly, what law governs my life? What law governs the next choice I make? What is the standard that governs my decisions?
Morning here starts off with what we call Pacer, and Pacer is a time when they have come together and they're going to go through what they're going to do on their day. We talk about time, we talk about when we do it, we talk about what we're going to do, we talk about have we case managed something, have we made preparation for it, and we have a series of questions on a sheet which outlines the order of the day and also sets priorities. It begins to say what I am going to do and what I'm not going to do. It teaches a commitment that if my chore goal today is to wipe the mirror down, then that is what I'm going to do, because I have what we call an evening countdown which says, have I done these things? It suggests a personal accountability, but also you're letting it be known that this is your plan, and people are going to call you on it if you don't stick to it. So there is Pacer, which practices a whole range of things: memory skills, problem-solving skills, future planning skills. All of these things are sort of woven into that. Another area is the favorite list, which are certain broad groupings of behaviors that you could typify by believing that all things work together for good. And there's quite a few behaviors within there that you're going to be developing. And we have it on a card which they can look at any time during day or night, literally. If they don't know what to be thinking, and very often they don't know what to be thinking, let me see if I can't slot one of these in here. And we use the word favorites because it's just something that you can remember. It's a word, and each letter has a distinctive flavor to it. And it sort of very broadly, rather like a box of chocolates, there's a whole range of activities, thoughts, and ways in which we implement knowing God in a very specific way. And that would be our favorites. And then we reference that to particular situations, and we're going to be working on them. Relapse prevention, which is just as the word says, slipping back, maybe backsliding prevention, however you want to talk about it. But we go through various small Bible studies, short stories about people's experiences, and we see how perhaps they didn't make the right decision. What was the outcome to that decision? It talks about reasons why we don't make that decision, the habits we have that prevent us moving forward. So we talk a lot about triggers. We talk about, well, what provokes us to move in a particular direction? And then we can reference back, well, what beliefs did that person have that promoted that line of action?
About the basic creature that God made us, and He's put something amazing between our ears. It's called the brain, and it is like a computer hard drive. It's got basic functioning that actually programs our whole body. In fact, in the past 15 years, science has realized not just that the brain is something that sits on top of this body, but the brain is the actual resource for the function of everything. It's amazing. And so when individuals present to us, whether they are addicted to drugs or alcohol, whether they come depressed, there's some basic things that have happened. Now, scripturally speaking, we can say someone needs to be saved for them to actually experience health. We have all sorts of scriptures for health and wholeness. But also, sometimes that can be a general answer, but sometimes the answer is even practical. Let's just take an example of someone that's suffering from depression. Well, the amazing thing is they can be someone that we might classify as knows the Lord, but what is happening when they're depressed is that they have a chemical imbalance in their brain, and they are lacking something called serotonin. Their serotonin level is low. Whether they had a crisis in their family, and because the crisis caused them to actually experience being downcast for maybe just a little length of time, but then all of a sudden their mood kind of got a Charlie horse in it and they weren't able to pull up out of it, that down just gradually rolled into depression, and it caused their serotonin to go down. Now, we want to see that one way to cause your serotonin to come back up is to practice a gratitude list. If someone would just, practically speaking, when they're experiencing depression, they make a list of what they're thankful for, and they begin to practice behaviors related to, say, something like our favorites list. They could just, it's like going to a local health gym and you work certain muscles. Well, if you work the muscle of gratitude and thanksgiving, and then you incorporate physical behavior related, such as hold yourself up and put on a smile and actually say out loud with your mouth what you're grateful for, it will actually cause an increase in your serotonin count. So that, just in very basicness, will help someone that's depressed, and the other parts of the LifeLink program will actually help people sustain that experience of gratitude or feeling good inside. And then let's talk about someone that has experienced drug and alcohol use. Well, what they've done, the toxin that's come into their body has basically shut down certain parts of their brain because of the poison that they've ingested. And so typically it's put the frontal lobe of their brain to sleep. And what in the world does that mean? That's a terrible thing, actually. It means that the muscles that would be used to do problem-solving skills, to do logic and reasoning, to actually have the ability to self-reflect, in other words, to use what you did yesterday as a learning experience to what you don't want to do today. Self-reflecting skills are located in the frontal lobe. And so if they've put that frontal lobe to sleep, whether it's through certain behaviors, you can put the frontal lobe to sleep by just basing your whole decision making in feelings. If all you used is your feelings to make a decision, gradually you would shut down the use of your frontal lobe and you'd have a problem. You can do that by making decisions based in feelings, or ingesting a lot of toxin through drugs and alcohol, and it causes all those skills to shut down. And so as Christians, yes, we can use Scripture, but there can be some practical things. There'll be some tools in the LifeLink material to wake up that frontal lobe.